This is In the Name of Football. Hello and welcome to this week's preview show. I am joined by Ash. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Cool. So we will be covering today on the preview show. We've got Villa Newcastle 12:30 kickoff. Obviously, Man City in the title race with Arsenal still, and that will be versus the Leicester. I think it's 5:30 that kickoff. And
Yep.
then we're also going to be looking at tomorrow's game involving our teams, which is obviously West Ham versus Arsenal and Forest versus United, and that's Manchester United, just in case there's any Newcastle fans watching and they don't want to get them confused and unhappy because it's not calling them. There's only one United, but there you go. Anyway, yeah. So obviously, if you are new around here, we do have a podcast as well. We've got the In the Name of Football podcast. That is what we're really basically from. That is every Monday. Well, usually on a Monday. Trips for each, pending. Usually, I might be watching United. He might be on a trip or somewhere, or But usually we get out for you on a Monday, and then we do this as a preview show on a Saturday morning. This is our third attempt now, and hopefully we've actually got it. So everything's working, and we can hear everything. So yeah, so
Think so. I think we're all good. Just double checked, and looks like we're all good. Audio's coming through because last time there was no audio for the first 20, was there? So, but
yeah,
I think we're good to go now.
excellent. So yeah, right. Well, that is basically it. Have how we actually what we do. So if you are, like I said, if you are new around here, you haven't ever seen us before, go and hit us on the Twitter. We've got a YouTube and we've got a podcast Twitter. Can be kind of confusing, but we try to do the best we can for it. To be honest with you, yeah. So right, let's get into it. Of the First game of the weekend. What we're previewing it is. Come on, Ash, help me out.
Villa Newcastle.
Villa
Obviously,
Newcastle.
early kickoff. 12:30. Yeah. I'm pretty excited for this one actually. Bit of a European showdown we've got going on with Villa and Newcastle. Unai Emery's doing a great job at Villa. They've won their last 4, won their last 6 out of 7 games, and unbeaten in those last 7 as well. They're now up to 6th place, and Ollie Watkins can't stop scoring goals. He's got 9 in his last 11. And yeah, I mean, considering where Villa were when Gerrard was there and when Emery took over, when they were sitting in the 16th, I believe.
Yeah.
Then he's now got them up to 6th, and in with the hunt for European football, they've literally gone from relegation candidates to European hopefuls. So pretty impressive of what Unai Emery's done at Villa, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that was, to be fair with you, obviously we didn't get a podcast out this weekend, and that was something that I was going to talk about on there, like just how well that Emery has done at Villa. So it's quite good that we can talk about it today. Yeah, it's absolute turnaround, and obviously that all started with his 3-1 or 3-0 victory against United. Which I just thought, yeah, typical manager bounce, and I thought he'd be on the slide after that. But no, he's
Kept it up, hasn't he?
yeah, absolutely, and obviously, yeah, obviously Arsenal are now on to bigger and better things, but it kind of leads you to believe, like, I know Arsenal are stuck with Arteta and they had 2 eighth place finishes, what he could have potentially done.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I don't. Emery didn't do a bad job at Arsenal at all. Like, you considering where we were, I think he finished 5th with us. We got to the Europa League final. I think it was just sort of the manner in which it was happening, and perhaps, as we sort of spoke about the people above Emery, when he was there, the sort of the likes of Sven Mislintat, um, there was sort of quite a bit more dodgy dealings going on above Emery, which I think led to him leaving. Not necessarily his own fault, because I think he did well and he got Aubameyang bagging goals, and look what he's done with Watkins. Clearly, he can do well with that. He's clearly very good in the European competitions as well. You see what he done with Villarreal. I'm sure you'll remember that.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
So I just think he's a very good manager. I'm not surprised at all how well he's doing. But just sort of things happen, circumstances change, and obviously we're now in a better place. But yeah, credit to Emery. That again is sort of his second crack at the whip at England now. He perhaps learned quite a lot from his time at Arsenal. His English is probably a lot better too. I know though everyone used to sort of give him a load of stick, didn't they? And
Good evening.
yeah.
Yeah.
So credit to Emery. I think he's a top manager.
Yeah, like yeah, like we say, he's done really well, and all started back from Manchester United from that United result. But let's look at the actual game. Obviously, the Newcastle. I think like we spoke about it on the podcast, and I was like, oh well, I think United will be all right for top four, which I still think they will be because Spurs aren't that great. And we looked at their next three fixtures, Newcastle, which were like West Ham away, Brentford away, and then West Ham away, Villa away, and I was like, well, West Ham could be tricky. Smashed them 5-1. Shows how much I know. West Ham could be tricky. Brentford could be tricky. But in all case, I think that's the first time Brentford have been leading the game at half time in the Premier League and lost the game at home.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite surprised, and I was literally then going to say that it was an impressive win from Newcastle away at Brentford. And as you said, even though West Ham aren't doing that well, you could have thought they could have given them a game, but Newcastle just completely took them to the cleaners that game. So that's just a credit to how good Newcastle are this year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Newcastle performed absolutely brilliantly that day, and Ivan Toney missing his first ever penalty as well in the Premier League. I think it's like ever. I don't know if it's actually ever or in the Premier League, but I know it was like his 11th penalty and he missed it against Nick Pope. And then obviously he had a chance to redeem himself, scored that penalty as well. But it was a crazy game. I think it was a Brentford penalty, and I thought that the second one that's a bit harsh. But yeah, Alexander Isak with a great finish in that game. To be fair with you, Newcastle. It's a tricky one because Eddie Howe likes to bang on about how, oh yeah, this is nothing to do with like how we've spent what money was spent, and that's kind of like an injustice to the players who are already here. And I kind of got that because I think he's gotten the best out of Joel Linton.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he definitely has got the best out of Joel Linton with that positional change with that. But when you look at the other side of it, if I now said to you who are the 3 or 4 best players, or the players who seem to have now made an impact on Newcastle, Trippier, Sven Botman, Bruno Guimaraes, and Alexander Isak. I don't think they were there when you were 19th, Eddie.
Yeah. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. He definitely has changed things around. And
of course, he has.
Even without the signings, I think you're probably looking at around sort of mid-table.
Yeah.
But those signings, it's just bringing in that different caliber of players, as you sort of just said. Isak, and I think he's a top striker, Alexander Isak. And then you got the likes of Callum Wilson there, who's getting goals as well. That's a deadly partnership, really. Whenever they play, they don't really play together, do they? But no. Just to have those two strikers in your squad capable of bagging goals, you're gonna start pushing up there. But I do get what you're saying. Sort of, like he has definitely improved a lot of those players. Look how Jacob Murphy's sort of gone on quite a good run recently. He's getting a run at string of games over on the right wing, and what was he? He was nothing really before that. I think everyone sort of thought he was washed, but no. To be fair, I think it's a bit of both. You need the spending, but also Eddie Howe's done a great job. And if it weren't for him, I don't think Newcastle would have been seen success like this as quick. Obviously, still got to secure top 4, but either way, it's been a sort of dramatic change.
Yeah, 100%. It is tough because I just don't like the way he kind of dismisses it. Like he kind of just dismisses that it's got anything to do with the money they spent. It's a bit. I think it's more pushed 75-25% in the signing's favour. I don't think like if Eddie Howe now went and took over Southampton, would you see the same sort of results? No,
Yeah, no,
do you know
no,
what I mean?
it wouldn't be.
No,
It's been amplified because of the money and being able to bring in those sorts of players.
absolutely. So in that case, how do we see this one going?
Oh, it's a great game. As I said, looking into this sort of research and before, really sort of excited for it. It's crazy if things have happened. Villa, if they win for them today, that moves them only 6 points behind Newcastle. So there's actually quite a lot sort of on the line. Um, I'm going to go for. I think there's going to be quite a lot of goals. I think both teams are sort of both in good goal scoring form. Even though Villa have sort of shored up the defence as well, but I think I'm going to go for a score draw. I'm going to go for Villa 2, Newcastle 2.
Well, that's quite yeah, it's quite a high scoring game there, and I think you're probably not wrong. But I've just got a feeling with Newcastle at the minute. They had that great win against United, but yeah, like as you said, I'm just looking at it. Like see, Newcastle's only last loss was against Man City, and Palace have drawn like one in their last 6 or 7 games, and that was away to West Ham. They're scoring goals. They beat Chelsea, didn't they? You know, the- but I think Newcastle have just got a bit too much for them at the minute, and
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go for a Newcastle win. I'm going to go 3-2 to Newcastle because I think you're right. There
Mm.
will be goals in this, and I think yeah, I'm going to go 3-2.
I mean, you look at Villa's sort of run and who they've beaten, and to be fair, it is sort of quite a lot of the teams you'd expect them to be beaten. Obviously they beat Chelsea 2-0 away, I know, but
Yeah,
Chelsea had nothing really this year. And apart from that, you look at it, it's like Everton, Palace,
yeah,
Bournemouth, Leicester, Forest. These are all teams that, but lower down. But I can definitely see Newcastle coming away with a win, but yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Should be
right.
a great game. Should be a
Yeah,
great game.
yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to go 3-2. You've gone 2-2. So let's see how
It's going
that
to be
goes.
0-0 now, isn't
Yeah,
it?
be a boring score draw, 0-0 draw or something like that. Right. Next game we're going to look at is the current champions versus Leicester City.
Mm.
Um, I mean, where do you start with Leicester? Uh,
It's not looking good, is it? It's not looking
I
good
just,
one bit.
I mean, I can't believe we're talking about them as if they're, you know what I mean? Like from where they were, Premier League champions, what, 6 seasons ago? You know,
Fifth place finishes under Brendan Rodgers. Everyone's sort of saying that Leicester were the new big six and like
yeah,
Arsenal shouldn't been in there and
yeah,
things like that. And now they could be going down. Like,
yeah. And it's, obviously we have touched on the podcast, which if you didn't know, we do a podcast on a Monday. I have said it once, I'll say it twice. I'm going to say it about 3 or 4 times. But yeah, yeah, it's just, we shouldn't we shouldn't really be shocked because obviously we've looked at it and
yeah,
the funding's been taken away and yes they've put a little bit back into it in January and things have picked up for the owners off the field in their own finances but
yeah. But I think it is still a bit of a shock because okay, taking those factors into account, you can expect a drop off. Maybe they sit around mid-table, sort of,
yeah
in there around
but
that, slightly above the top half of the bottom table. But this has been just catastrophic, really.
yeah but I kind of see what you're saying but also you got to look at the players that they haven't replaced. We said about it in the podcast. Kasper Schmeichel I think was
Yeah,
probably at his time was probably one of the best keepers in the league, and they didn't replace him to all due respect to replace him with the keeper they've got now. That is a major
Danny
downgrade.
Ward. Yeah,
That's like going from Peter Schmeichel to David De Gea. That's them sort of levels.
I'll get you started on De Gea.
But no, I thought I had a joke in there. But you know what I'm saying? It's absolutely horrific. You are kind of like talking about getting rid. Well, yeah, there is. I don't know how you can compare it. Well, it happened at Manchester United. Peter Schmeichel to Taibbi. It was. It's just mad. It's just.
Jens Lehmann to Almunia.
Yeah, yeah. And I just feel that certain little factors as well. Vardy's not getting any younger. We mentioned that. Iniacho hasn't performed on the heroics that he did when he first came into the side. Madison looking like half the player he is, or was, should I say? And there was a lot to that, like failed transfers, call ups from the England squad kind of affecting him. Lots of reports on his discipline within the England squad when he got the chance. And yeah, I like, obviously it's not helping with Yuri Tillman's been like not committing to a new contract. Would they have committed that to a proper contract if they had the backers from the investors? Do you know what I mean? There's a lot going on there, and you said we'll play him.
He's been injured, to be fair, hasn't he?
Yeah,
and I did look, and he had actually been playing, but as we sort of said as well, the whole sort of dressing room had been shot. The relationship between Rodgers and the players was not good. So clearly there'd been falling outs there, and those players that got them into fifth and just weren't playing at the same level as they were either. So that obviously that's going to be coupled with everything else.
Yeah,
it's always going to be tough. But for me, I don't think it should have. I know obviously there's a lot to it, but I still don't think it should have been this much of a downfall.
No, yeah, the downfall is major, isn't it? And
especially after you consider as well, Rodgers sort of managed to turn it around a bit. Obviously, it was a pretty shocking start, but then sort of before the World Cup and that sort of think maybe slightly after, Rodgers sort of turned it around, and you thought, okay, Leicester will be okay. But it fell apart again, didn't it?
Yeah, and also I feel that with Leicester, I just feel that I don't know. It's mate, I don't know what to say. I really don't. I don't know where to go with it. But what I will say is, what an agent Dean Smith's got, because
I mean, yeah, I think all the Norwich fans, obviously, who we know, said how absolutely dire it was. Just not good at all. The relationship he had with the fans was woeful and strained from the off. And now he's come in, a bit of an uninspiring appointment, isn't it?
I don't. And the thing with Dean Smith is as well, it's like, let's look at Dean Smith properly. He got Villa promoted with, let's say, probably one of the best players the Championship has ever seen, behind, for me, Buendia and Grealish are probably two of the best Championship players there's ever been. And he only just got Villa up via the playoffs with Grealish.
Yeah.
And then he only just stayed up on the last day of the season with a team which spent 150 plus million.
And obviously Villa have sort of gone on to
bigger and better things about him.
Yeah.
So, I think that Shakespeare's gone back there as well. He was there obviously with Leicester with Ranieri and stuff. But, obviously I don't think he had the same impact after Ranieri left anyway. But yeah, I don't see. I actually, we've done we've done our predictions on the podcast where we said Leeds, Bournemouth, and Southampton. I think we both agreed with that.
Yeah.
And I think we might have to change that. I think the only team we're going to move away from that is Bournemouth at the minute.
I mean, it's, as we said countless times, so tight, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But you look at Leicester now; they're 4 points off survival. Lost 5 out of their last 6. Defeats the Palace, Villa, and Bournemouth.
They're losing teams around them.
Yeah, that's not what you want. Maybe at this point now, I think Leicester 4 points at this stage, it seems a lot to recover. Like, obviously, it can easily just be turned around in 2 games. You know what happens.
Yeah.
You get a team. They just go on they win 3 or 4 games in a row towards the end of the season. They make that escape. But you just look at the surrounding circumstances at Leicester. Dean Smith, for me, is not going to come in and do anything to really change that. Like,
no.
It might be a slight bounce, just because there was a bounce when he came in at Norwich as well. To be fair, ever so slightly.
Yeah.
But it's just you've got to be worried for Leicester. Yeah, I think they're most likely to go down now with Southampton.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, right. Let's focus on Man City. Obviously, I mean, like midweek performance. I mean,
Unbelievable,
I caught that against
unbelievable.
I caught that against Bayern Munich, and obviously, it's not really affecting me at the minute as a United fan, but as an Arsenal fan, watching them at the minute, you must be shitting your pants because I couldn't see personally watching Man City coming into February, March, how they usually do, like a freaking steam train. I just couldn't see it. And like where it was going to come from, they were dropping silly little points, and then all of a sudden, boom! That's like someone's just shot a rock up their ass, and they're just absolutely flying. They smashed Liverpool without Haaland, and that game against Bayern was ridiculous. That was like watching them playing the Burnley in the FA Cup.
They were perfect. They were pretty much perfect against Bayern. Like just so impressive, just how
Yeah,
tactically structured they are. Everyone knows exactly what they need to do. They're so well drilled. And, I think defensively there was a few problems. They had Ruben Diaz out, which he was unbelievable against Bayern as well. Like his defending is just ridiculous. You got someone like Ruben Diaz. He's a proper defender, isn't he?
yeah,
Um,
mate.
like yeah, you've got a lot of players. They have their pace or their strength, their physical attributes help sort of buy them out of tough situations. But somebody like him, he's just an out and out defender. He just knows how to defend. And John Stones as well coming in that sort of revelationary sort of half-back role, if you like. He's dropped into centre back, and then the next minute he's pushed up into the midfield. So instead of Pep inverting the wing backs like he was, he's now got John Stones doing that role from the centre back position. Like it's just crazy. It's so interesting as well from a tactical perspective and how they're set up. But I mean, you can't underestimate that win against Bayern midweek either, because Bayern had literally conceded 2 goals, I believe, out of the whole 8 games of their Champions League, and they'd played some tough teams.
Mm.
Inter was in their group, Barca was in their group, and then PSG up against Messi and Mbappe. They didn't concede against them, and I know we can say about how PSG perform
Yeah, yeah.
in Europe, etc., but it's still PSG. And Bayern, it looked easy,
Mm.
relatively easy against them. But
Yeah.
Man City have just come on and just taken the piss and raised it another level.
But
I mean, just
mate,
they're ridiculous. They're
the
so ridiculous.
the end of that game, I feared that they generally looked Man City generally looked like they could score when they wanted. It was just they were just like Bayern were attacking them with like two or three players like standard, and then all of a sudden they broke it down, and Man City looked like they just reincarnated 8 players up front, and and Bayern and like decapitated 8 Bayern defenders on the break or something because there was only two at the back, and Man City looked like they were going to score another couple. You're like, what the fuck? And I hate obviously praising Man City. Being a United fan, it's fucking painful to watch that. Um, but
They're
yeah,
so good though.
you've got to just take your hands off, and I think your hats off. Sorry, and I think that was probably that and the Liverpool performance. I mean, the second half, especially against Liverpool, and that Bayern performance, was kind of like, oh god,
I'm worried because there's so much pressure, especially after drawing against Liverpool.
yeah.
Um,
We'll
you
come to
know,
that in a minute. Yeah,
we've got any slip up now, and you just can't see City dropping points. A couple months ago you could see it happening. They lost against Spurs. They drew a home to Everton. There was cracks there.
yeah,
Haaland was still scoring ridiculous goals. That didn't matter. Defensively, they were still a little shaky. It wasn't quite right, but now Pep has got it all clicking. Everyone's on song,
yeah,
and that's when it's scary because
yeah,
you just can't. I can't see him. I really couldn't. It wouldn't surprise you if they won every single game now to the end of the season. It
yeah.
really would.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like you say, they had that run where they were a little bit disjointed, and probably that was their run. Like dropping a couple of draws here and there. And yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. But now it's just
We need that point at the Etihad. I'll take the point at the Etihad.
You'll be lucky to get away with a point.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly. That's why I'll take it.
And the thing is, right, and I was listening to them. I was listening to Sky Sports the other week after the Arsenal Liverpool game, and they were talking about how like City's involvement in the Champions League might hinder their performances in the league. Well, now in this situation, they're 3-0 up against Bayern. They could potentially go to the Allianz and just rest Haaland and go, right, we'll put you on the bench just in case we need you. Same with De Bruyne, just in case, have them tucked away. And if they do go and get 1 or 2 goals, you could just bring them to 1 and they suddenly become a threat again. And that is the danger of, like, Pep might just sit there and go, yep. I know you kind of want to sit there and go, yeah, that didn't happen, but it probably did. But, like, they've watched the Liverpool-Arsenal game, Pep, and it's like, right, I can hear what you're saying. We are going to smash Bayern, and if we get 1, we get 2, we're getting 3, we're getting 4. Do you know what I mean? I think he's like saying, no surrender. We do not sit there and play football. We just smash them to bits.
Yeah.
Get the win, and then we can, he obviously won't tell the players, obviously, going forward what he's going to do, but yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
100%. Sure. He's just going to, and, that reminds me of United of old, but not against teams like Bayern. But that's what we used to do, United, under Fergie. And I think that's what Ten Hag's trying to recreate, that whole, right. Because I remember Ten Hag was saying how we were, I think it might have been the Everton game or someone where we played and we were like 2 or 3 goals up. And we didn't kill it and didn't go and get the 4th and the 5th. And that's, that's what I think Fergie used to do. He used to put his best team out. We'd go and get like 2, 3, 4 goals and smash them 60th minute. Off you come, Scholesy. Off you come, Ronnie. Off you come, Rooney. Do you know what I mean? Just bring Tevez and Berbatov on instead. Do you know what I mean? And that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you need the squad depth to do that, and clearly have that depth so that they can get away with it. And as you said, 3-0 up at home to Bayern, they can afford to rest a few players in the second leg, keep them fresh for the league. So yeah, City have the capability to go all guns blazing in all the competitions. So I don't think that's really an issue. What does worry me for Arsenal as well is like you see how many chances that we conceded to Liverpool and how in the end we were actually quite lucky to not lose the game. If it wasn't for Ramsdale, if Liverpool are creating that many chances, I know it was at Anfield, it's a different story.
Yeah.
But if Liverpool are able to do that, then City will definitely be able to do that against us. So
and you got a man who scored 43 goals this season in the middle there, waiting to tuck them away.
Oh God!
I absolutely
balling it.
I could
in the league.
I could absolutely see them doing an absolute number on you. I really can. They're just...
Well, they sort of kind of did again at the Emirates. I mean, not explicitly. They weren't all over us, but we still lost 3-1.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, we're going down a route we don't want to be going down today. Right. So.
City Leicester predictions.
5-0.
Yeah. It's gonna be too easy.
Yeah.
I'll go 4-0. 4-0. It could be anything. It really could.
5-0. Haaland score 4 by half time. Do you know what I mean?
Then Pep will take him off.
There you go. Do you know what I mean?
Oh dear.
It wouldn't be surprising if he doesn't even start him today because Alvarez had a good game on the midweek. So anyway.
Yeah. No, that's a good shout actually.
Yeah. I'll go 5-0 City. Yeah, right. Let's move on. So, obviously, your lads against for the earlier game on the Sunday, isn't it, versus West Ham away? I didn't catch the West Ham score during the week, so I can't comment on that.
1-1 away to Ghent.
Oh, that's not great. Anyway, yeah, you guys have obviously had a full week of rest, which is something I did touch upon before you lost in the Europa League, and that could have caught up with you. But obviously, you've now had a week to get that game at Anfield away from under your belt. Yeah, we had a brief conversation about it yesterday. Obviously, just general football chat, how we do. But yeah, that Liverpool game, going into that off the back of that, I don't know. Yeah, is it question marks? Does it losing, and that's what I'm trying to say. It kind of like, did it feel like a loss to the Arsenal players? Are they going to come off that field last Sunday thinking they've put in one of their best performances for a long time at Anfield? 2-0 up and absolutely coasting, and let's be honest, they were coasting. And then to
Yeah.
go and concede 2 goals how they did, and miss apparently Liverpool, yeah.
Again, it's the importance of having Saliba there and not Holding. I certainly don't think Holding's done a bad job
No.
again, but
Yeah.
it's that extra quality, that
You don't want him
extra
marking Haaland, do you?
Saliba's there. You're happy that he, you still back Haaland to probably get a goal, but Saliba will probably do a better job.
Yeah, of course.
It's especially considering how we were, as you said, 2-0 up. It looked easy, and then we just fell apart. Really, there was just so Liverpool. Trent. The incident between Trent and Xhaka, obviously that managed to get the crowd up, and you saw that when we played away there. I think it was last season. There was that scuffle between Arteta and Klopp. And that changed it because that got the Anfield crowd up, and they got right behind him, and that completely shifted the momentum of the game.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's just got the better of us again. The atmosphere changed, and if it wasn't for Ramsdale making a host of outrageous saves, we would have lost that. But you can't dwell on it, and I think the mentality of the team at the minute won't dwell on that. Of course, we still had that great chance at the end where we could have actually gone on to win it.
Oh, mate,
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, right? Honestly, when that was Martinelli, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
When
believe so.
when I saw it fall to Martinelli, and I just saw that Saka, like how he was just peeling away, I was like, this is Fernando Torres' moment against Liverpool all them years ago with the famous Demba Ba slip. Had to get that in. The Gerrard slip against Demba Ba. But I was just like, this is it. This is the crowning moment. Do you know what I mean? This is kind of like, not obviously on the same level, but this is like the Michael Thomas.
Yeah. If we went and scored and won the game,
it would have been
pretty confident we'd go on to win the league.
And behind that, it was the momentum of how you done it.
Yeah.
It would have just been like bang. Do you know what I mean? Like it would have just set you off, and that's what I'm trying to say, and that's how I opened this segment up. It's just like how you've gone from that point and that moment when you've now gone. That will feel like a loss to your players. They would have felt like they lost that game, 100%. Do you know what I mean? No, they would have done. They would have done, mate.
I don't know, because I think just sort of the mentality, as I said, of the team, that we're not looking at things like that. I think there's a lot more logic and thought behind it now. I think we're a lot better at taking the emotion out of things, and looking things more clearly at the minute.
I get it, but it's about being in that moment. And I think this is that's what separates City from Arsenal now, is that they've actually got winners in that team who have been through these difficult times, and not difficult time, but that sort of setback. And I think that mentality, yes, it's great, and I understand what you're saying, because I don't disagree with that. But also, you've got to look at it from, take your Arsenal glasses off, and I mean that all respectfully. But you've gone to Anfield, you've played your best football at Anfield for a long, long time. You're 2-0 up, and you've drawn the game 2-2 in like the 90th minute, and you could have won it.
We should have. From the position we were in, we should have won it.
And that's where it will feel like a loss.
Yeah.
I kind of said it yesterday to you, and I'm going to sound like the biggest dick ever saying this, right? But I probably felt better than a lot of United fans probably felt better after that 7-0 drubbing than Arsenal fans did after that 2-2. Because when it's 3 or 4, you're like, yeah, it's what it is. The game was dead after 55 minutes. I had 35 minutes to take it all in. Do you know what I mean? But, it's
But no, I mean, it is. I guess in the manner of it as well, like
just cry. Shall I play some emotional music?
Well, like if it was like you'd be angry if it was like they scored 2 goals against the run of play, but because we sort of deserved in that second half performance to not win the game and in fact lose it probably.
Yeah.
That is again is the difference, and
Yeah.
then that starts to question in your head, and you're like, right, why have we done this? It wasn't. It's not the case of right, okay, that was just unlucky. You know, they scored 2 dodgy goals or whatever. Okay, we'll move on. We know we're still good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that we've sort of have fell apart is gonna make those questions go in your head as well, especially in those difficult moments. Like if we go a goal down away at West Ham or something,
Yeah.
you know, again, the thought process is going to be ticking. I mean, it's not great, but
I
it's
got
not
Connor.
the
Connor the
world
let.
either. I think you just got to make sure to take it. It's easy said than done, but you have to take it with a pinch of salt and just think, put it to bed, accept that it's Anfield, it happens, and move on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Connor. Yeah. Morning, Connor. He's just come into the chat and was just like, "Shush, Carl." Probably because of my comment of the Man United Liverpool game. He's a little leprechaun anyway, so I won't worry about him. No, I'm only joking. But no. It's. I just think that Arsenal have got to get their heads back in the game tomorrow. Obviously, you've had a week to get your head around that. Maybe you needed a game midweek, but obviously, it's one of them things. You know, you like I said to you before when United lost 7 at Anfield. I was so glad that we had a game midweek at Old Trafford to go and get that out of your system, and by God, we did. So yeah, obviously,
But it's not as if we need to get anything out of our system right now or anything though.
no,
Like
no,
I don't think that's the case. I think
yeah,
we just take on the chin and move on. And
mm,
then, you know, we could easily go and play West Ham now, beat them 3-0, and then everyone's forgot about it.
yeah, yeah. West Ham obviously, they had a poor result against Newcastle, didn't they?
Not good, not good.
Yeah, that wasn't very good for them. And obviously, they had the draw midweek, as we just mentioned. So yeah, West Ham. I mean, actually, that was a great win against Fulham the other week, which I know
Mm,
Fulham have been on the downslide since.
but still.
So I think the Fulham game, which really done my nut in, like how poor they were against Arsenal, and then they come to United, look like absolute dons.
I've already said it's because we're just so much better than United, and United are shit.
So yeah, I'm just going to ignore your stupid comments. So yeah, West Ham obviously playing some. I mean, they've only lost one in their last 5, and I know a couple of them have been in like Europe and stuff. So you kind of expect them to win,
Yeah.
but they're scrapping for their life. David Moyes has probably got them all. He's probably got them organised, and he's took a bit of flack. And I always feel with David Moyes, when the chips are down, is when you get the best out of him. When he's on the, like, I remember he was having I watched an interview with him. It wasn't an interview, sorry, it was a press conference, and the Sky Sports commentator, the Sky Sports presenter was like, "So yeah, it's a real big must-win game against Fulham," and he was like, "Yeah, and I remember the last time you said it was a must-win game, and it was against Everton, and we won that one." And he was like, "And the last time you said it before that, it was a game that we must win, and we won that. So thanks very much for saying it's a must-win game against Fulham, because we'll probably win that now." Jokingly, like trying to play on that, and they did. Do you know what I mean? So every
Yeah.
time he gets, apart from when he was at United, I guess, every time his back's against the wall, he seems to come around with a bit of and get a result.
Yeah.
Potentially, I can see, West Ham sitting in 14th, sorry, and as we've previously said, a win moves you up into the dizzy heights of 12th for West Ham. Obviously, weekend results pending elsewhere. But we did say earlier that there was a lot of the teams were closing together in that bottom half of the table, but it is starting to show now that it isn't going to be long, maybe this weekend or maybe next weekend, where you are very much. It's now 3 or 4 teams in that relegation zone.
Yeah, get a
Because
little bit more of a drift.
yeah,
Obviously, West Ham have got a game in hand over
yeah,
everyone else. They win that, and
yeah,
again that separates them a little bit from the
exactly,
pile.
yeah,
Especially with Leicester dropping off now,
yeah,
that takes sort of another team. out of it at that point. It was sort of every 18th and 19th kept switching.
Yeah,
And now
absolutely.
you're going to keep 19th and 20th, probably going to still sort of stay similar.
Yeah,
But no, you are right. Obviously, taking out that Newcastle game, West Ham have sort of seen a bit of a turnaround. Obviously, I think Europe, as you said again, Europe can kind of help
yeah,
because you get a bit of confidence back, you get
yeah,
a bit the momentum and the feel good factor around the club again. So picking up those wins against Larnaca, they've been able to then transfer that into the league,
yeah,
pick up a couple of good wins. And obviously, yeah, I'm not expecting it to be a complete and we're going to turn up and completely roll them over. It's a London derby at the end of the day, especially if West Ham got an early goal or something. You got that crowd behind them; they're still fighting for that survival. It could be a difficult game for Arsenal for sure, but this is where we need to be winning the games.
yeah,
You draw away at Liverpool, okay, we put that one to bed. You go and get maximum points away at West Ham, at home to Southampton, to properly prepare yourself for
yeah.
that Man City game. So we need to be winning, of course.
It's at the next game.
After this, we've got Southampton, and
Oh,
then we've got Man City.
oh, I was gonna say, I was like, yes, mate, that's a good game to look forward to. But yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I think West Ham will probably give it a good game. To be fair, as we said before as well, they're a bit better at home, aren't they?
yeah.
But I still think
What are you like at the what are you like at the London Stadium? What's your history been there?
to be fair, we've been pretty decent of late away from home.
No,
Um,
there. Just
yeah, away at West
oh, okay,
Ham.
right, yeah,
Yeah, we beat them 2-1 last season.
yeah,
The year before that was a 3-3 draw. We were 3-0 down. Then can you remember that Odegaard sort of
yeah,
masterclass when he was still only on
yeah.
loan? He sort of helped turn that around. And then before that, we won 3-1. So our record away there has been decent, to be fair. So I'm not too worried about that. And in general, our record against West Ham of late has been pretty good. It looks as though their last win against us came in 2019 at the London Stadium. Declan Rice scored the goal. But apart from that, yeah, we've done very well. So I'm not too worried.
I
Let's
think
go for our predictions. Or
the only thing I would say with West Ham is that they're probably going to look to give their team, their fans, a lot better performance than their last home game in the league, which is obviously Newcastle. So,
yeah.
that could be a danger for Arsenal. Right, let's get our predictions in because we've got one more game to cover. What are we saying? 10-0
Yeah.
Arsenal for you?
No. I think it might actually be quite a tight game. I think we'll win,
Yeah.
but I think it will be close. I'll go for a 2-1 Arsenal win.
2-1 Arsenal win. Okay,
Bit of a nervy one as well.
2-1 West Ham.
2-1 West Ham. Wow.
Yeah.
You'd love that. Oh God, no, I can't do the podcast now. We're gonna completely fall apart, aren't we?
Yeah, mate. Do you know what, right? All joking aside, but it is so difficult. I don't think people generally understand. I don't know about yourself because obviously it hasn't been that difficult for Arsenal recently, but you maybe have got that feeling last week. Well, you didn't because obviously you had other things going on in your system. But when your team loses a game or it's going poorly during the match, you're sitting there. I think it's the Newcastle game. I was like, now I've actually got to go and do a podcast and talk about this. Oh,
Yeah, you can't
I
just put
just
it
don't
to
want
bed and
to.
forget about it, can
You
you?
just don't want to do it. You're like, really? Do you know what I mean? It just takes all your enthusiasm out of doing it, and it's so difficult. So yeah, if you do lose out tomorrow, I totally can see you going, yeah, I don't feel great. Well, guess what? I'll be throwing you on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm ill tomorrow.
No, I'm going 2-1. I'm going 2-1 West Ham. Yeah, I'm going 2-1. I think it'll be one of them games where Arsenal will probably take the lead. Well, if Arsenal take the lead, that's kind of different, I think.
Yeah.
But I think if
Takes
West
the
Ham get
sting
the
out
lead,
a little bit, I think, and the fans sort of turn
yeah,
on the players and things like that.
1-0, 1-1, 2-1. That's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for a late winner, to be fair with you. I got my prediction right last week, didn't I? I said 2-2, 2-2, the Arsenal-Liverpool game. Yeah, and that wasn't on here. That was on a text message to me between me and you.
No, yeah, I said 3-1.
Yeah, you said 3-1 Arsenal. I said
Yeah, 2-2.
2-2. So yeah, yeah. So that's how we'll see that one. Right. Moving on to United.
United time.
Yeah. Um,
I'll let you. Yeah,
United
you
versus
kick off with that.
Forest. So obviously at the City Ground, Steve Cooper's under a bit of pressure there now, which I think is. I find it very shocking that he's under pressure. To be fair with you, I mean Nottingham Forest. In all due respects, I mean I was delighted to see Forest back in the Premier League, but I could see them being a team like a Swindon or a Barnsley where they just come and get absolutely walloped week in and week out. They've had some really
That
good.
probably would have been the case if they didn't spend all that money in the end.
Yeah, yeah, maybe they probably would have, but yeah, it's a tough one. I really, I never know how you, I never know how people can sit there and go, oh, well, I never know the right recipe, sorry, for getting into the Premier League. You know, like people go, oh, you know, you should kind of rely on your players who got you up, and then you should spend like a couple of hundred, or maybe like 50, 60 million and improving that squad. Well, I don't
Not really
really.
worked for Norwich, has it?
No, and then you see someone go, "Oh, you know, you've just said it didn't help that they spent 150 million. So what is the right recipe? Do you know what I mean?"
No, I think they would have been absolutely tonked, like you said,
Oh, sorry.
Swindon or Barnsley, if they hadn't have spent
Ah,
that
right.
money.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm with you because I think,
I
I
think the
think
fact that
Forest had.
they are competitive is because they
Yeah.
have spent that.
Okay. And I think like with them, they think they had about 4 or 5 players on loan when they got up, and their best players were on loan players.
Mm, like
Which
Jed
I,
Spence.
yeah. But anyway, let's focus on the game more. And I think uh, like we then said, the adverse effects of drawing games and stuff, and how you draw them. You look at United during the week. You know, we had. I after the Newcastle game, I said on the podcast, and I've said it in the Man United group chat, which I'm in. You know, I would happily get a 1-0 win at Brentford and a 1-0 win against Everton, and just get back onto winning ways. It wasn't important of how we've done that. But the result against Brentford, that was just literally a good result because we were shite, you know, and and then obviously the Everton game, we were superb, absolutely blew them away. We were brilliant. I know it's Everton, and you expect to beat Everton at home, but Everton have had some really good results at Old Trafford in the last couple of seasons. So
Mm.
I was absolutely delighted with that game and how good we were. And you know, it should have been 5 or 6. Absolutely, you know, it was a brilliant performance. And then we go into the game against Sevilla, and you know, a lot of criticism directed at Ten Hag in the second half. And you know, let's look at this logically, you know, and this is probably where I'm probably a little bit older than a lot of the people in that chat, which is a bit depressing. But and it's you've seen football so long, like I think Ten Hag said it yesterday in his press conference. Like, we're 2-0 up against Sevilla. We should have been 3 or 4-0 up by half time. We were absolutely brilliant again. I know Sevilla haven't had the best times in the Liga this year, but this is still Sevilla. You know, like they turn up in the Europa League. We tore them to bits. Absolutely, just mate, it was just carnage. United should have smashed them. And then second half, Bruno's already been yellow carded wrongfully. I mean, to be suspended for the next game, and he'd been warned by the referee apparently that he was a foul away from being red carded. You know, second yellow, so it's a red, and then I think it goes to a 2 to 3 game ban. So he would have been out of the semis completely if that had happened. So he's took him off. He's took Anthony off because he was on a yellow card in that game, so it would have been a red card, so it's a 2 3 game suspension if he'd got sent off. And the left back Acuna was giving him some shit, and they were kind of giving each other. Do you know what I mean? So you were kind of could see a reaction from Anthony getting sent off. He's took Martial off because the guy's a ball of glass, which I agree with, you know,
Mm.
and he played really well. Martial was brilliant, to be fair, and with Rashford injured, you need to be precautionary. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Hopefully, Rafa Varane, that's just precautionary as well, because he went down in about the 35th minute, played on until the half time. So that gives me some light at the end of the tunnel there. And obviously, being 2-0 up, why not? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And change your game a bit in the second half, bring Maguire on, just let him head of the ball out, one of them, you know? Try and get something on the break. And we should have done. with them 3 subs, we should have still got a couple on the break. And obviously, you then go and lose 2 unfortunate own goals. Now, own goals are always unfortunate. You know, the Malacia one, he's just smashed it across the box, and it's hit Malacia, and then hit De Gea, sorry. It's then hit De Gea, right, and flew in, yeah. And you're like, well, I can't criticise De Gea there, but that's unfortunate, you know. And then I couldn't believe people would give Maguire, oh, did you see Maguire's header, his own goal? I'm like, yeah, I did. And if you know anything about football, he couldn't have got out of the way of it, you twat. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and it's just, I don't believe that people sit there and go, oh, yeah, it was Maguire's fault. No, it wasn't. You know, it is what it is. You've got 10 men, you know. The worst thing about it was the 2 injuries, to potential injury to Varane, because we don't know how that is. And obviously,
Martinez, though.
Martinez, which I'm absolutely delighted and happily, I actually said it in the United group chat, lads, I don't actually think it's his Achilles. And they're like, what do you mean? I went, look at it again. He grabs his foot. He's broken his metatarsal.
Yeah.
I was like, 100% he's broken his 5th metatarsal. Because when you do it, I've never broken the 5th one, but I've damaged it. And it is, oh my days. It's like, I think Beck's done it. Well, I know Beck's done it and Rooney done it. You can't walk. Like, it's if you now put your foot on the floor, it is your 5th metatarsal which touches the floor first. And that is the majority of your weight. I think it takes like 95% of your weight of your foot.
That's not good then.
But it's 6 weeks. You're looking at 6 weeks.
I'm pretty sure, isn't that going to be the end of the season for him? Because, yeah, it is 6 weeks.
The guy's a warrior, mate. He'll probably bandage it up. He'll be
gotta get
playing
back to
Wednesday.
fitness. You can't just chuck him into Europa League semi-finals or whatever it is, potentially, if he's been out for 6 weeks.
The only saving grace I think here is hopefully, I think Malacia is a decent cover at left back. So what I would be inclined to do, and a bit of luck we've had it, is that I would go Shaw and Varane. I know we've got Maguire and I know we've got Lindelof, who are like, you know, that's their position.
Yeah.
But I thought Luke Shaw, when we've played them games and he's played centre back, he's been brilliant.
Well, we were at the Forest game. And he was good there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Centre back.
Yeah. He's an absolute. Yeah, he was great. So I'd be glad to see if we put Luke Shaw, and I think he'd be inclined to do that, depending on how well Malacia is playing, obviously. Anyway, look, you know, I think it's a crucial game for United. I'd like to see him go there and kind of like control the game. Good thing is we've got.
Rashford isn't going to be playing, is he?
No, there's talk of him playing on Thursday, but Rashford didn't play against Sevilla, and we looked brilliant. You know, I think it's going to be interesting because I think Eriksen's ready to come back, and I think Bruno dropping deeper. I think Ten Hag has settled on this Eriksen playing further forward, or this might be a new change in role with Sabitzer coming in. Is that Eriksen might not be a more focal point to the team now, because I think they've settled on this Casemiro Bruno midfield, and then Sabitzer playing in the old Bruno role, and he was brilliant on Thursday night. And
could have got a hat trick, didn't he?
Sorry,
could have got a hat trick.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have complained. And also, I think it was the Everton game. Sabitzer played further forward, and he was good as well. So yeah, hopefully we've now got this anchor of Casemiro and Bruno. I think we'll go there. And then
until Casemiro gets suspended again.
Yeah, obviously, you know, never been sent off before. He's had 1 red card, I think, in his whole career at Madrid, and then he gets 2 in a matter of weeks at United. It's ridiculous. That's for another. I mean, I'm not being funny, but if we're going to talk about it, like Casemiro, you see the Casemiro tackle against Southampton where he's got sent off. Go and watch the tackle. I think it was an Everton player. It was an Everton player on Wan-Bissaka last weekend. My days. Wan-Bissaka's passed it, gone home, had a shower, and then been tackled. I'm like, that is absolutely, mate. He's like, and it's not like he's just late and he's just touched his bottom of his foot. He's hit him halfway up his shin, and it's like, what the fuck? You know, you're like, how? So yeah, but right. Anyway, the game. I think Martial was brilliant. I've got to say it. Connor. I don't know if Connor's in here now because I never told you, but Connor's an absolute Martial SC fanboy of the biggest. You know, he loves him. But I've got to say, actually, you know my feelings on Martial. Absolute talent at his world. He's brilliant. You know, on his day, he is class. You know, he's unbelievable. But the thing is with Martial, his days are so far and few between. The only thing I will say about that is that I have seen a vast improvement in Martial's performances under Ten Hag. He looks like he wants to play all the time. I've not seen a bad performance apart from the Man City game, but he was actually past. He was on a late fitness test before that game. So yeah, yeah, you know, obviously, I think Anthony on the right we started, and Sancho wasn't too bad against Sevilla. Actually, no, Sancho was decent in the first half against Sevilla. So yeah, Forest on a bit of a sticky one at the minute, aren't they? What their last home game?
They haven't won in 9, Forest, to be
Really?
fair, and they've had some, winnable games. Lost to Leeds, drew at home to Wolves, drew at home to Everton. All games that they could have won, probably should have won if they want to stay up. But for me, I think there's too many question marks around United at the minute. Obviously, I know what you're saying in terms of it was a bit unlucky that the fact that you lost, that you didn't beat Sevilla. But
Yeah.
the fact is, you still didn't beat them,
100%.
and you've dropped points. Well, you haven't dropped points, but you've thrown away the lead. You know, that's gonna have some sort of mentality issue. No Martinez, potentially no Varane, no Rashford. You know, I think that's a worry. And if I'm a United fan, I'm a little bit worried for the end of the campaign. Obviously, a few holes appearing, rightly or wrongly, with Ten Hag. I mean, but they're still there. There's still question marks there. There's still a bit more pressure. If it's a complete disaster to the end of the campaign for United, that's even more pressure on Ten Hag again. You know, I'm a bit concerned if I'm a United fan, to be honest.
I would be more concerned if I didn't see the attacking performance on Thursday.
Yeah.
I think there is.
But then if you take that though, and as we said, if the injuries are, no Martinez, if Varane as well, that's a worry because defensively you've been poor when they've not played.
I do well. Actually,
I know Maguire.
They've got a bit. They've got a bit.
Games with Maguire.
I think Martinez. Manchester United have only lost one game in the 10 games Martinez hasn't played. So maybe it might not be as bad as people think. I think I personally think Varane will play on the weekend on Sunday. I think clever from Ten Hag to take him off at half time. He did say he'd had a bit of a complaint in the last couple of weeks, so hopefully that will that's why they've done it.
But you think with Rashford though, how many times has he sort of bailed you out this season? And I know like Martial's back now, but
I know I totally agree, but I think the way I think with Martial playing with Rashford, it's even more dangerous.
Yeah, of course.
But I think,
but no Rashford. You've got like Anthony who scored 3 goals in the league, and that's it. No assists or anything. Sancho hasn't really been able to kick on and get that run. I know he's done okay when he's been back.
No, but the way they played,
it's not the same though, is it? Like these aren't players who are.
I would argue
on form.
I would argue that they looked more dangerous on Thursday than they did with Rashford. Because there seems so the way it was, Rashford was Martial was dropping deeper and allowing Sancho and Anthony to come in, and Sancho had a goal disallowed after 25 seconds. Anthony hit the inside of the post with a great curling shot. It's that whole. I think.
But then again, it was Sevilla, and as you said, Sevilla aren't doing great.
No, they're not. Well, Forest ain't doing great, are they? Anyway, look, we always seem to spend so much time talking about United. Let's just go for the result. And you seem to enjoy United chat more than you bloody do Arsenal chat. For
I just like winding you up about United.
You're just a closet. That's what you are, closet.
I just
Don't
love winding you
don't
up about
if you don't win the league this year, you'll be up to me and go, I might be a United fan. No, yeah,
Oh, Judd.
no, but no. I do always remember that famous conversation in the car. Do you think it's too late to change who I support? I remember you saying that, and I was
You
like,
need to stop bringing up conversations from when I was a child, because they don't count.
Anyway, let's go for a prediction. Where do we see it?
I think Forest will get a result. I think they've done so time and time again at home.
Mm.
Obviously, they picked up the point against City. I think United not looking great at all at the minute. So I think Forest will get a point. I'm gonna go for 1-1.
Because of the reaction from Thursday, I think it might be a positive one. Falling on how it did against Newcastle, we always seem to get a good bounce back, and Ten Hag questioning players and the commitment and stuff. It's a game where, and I think, sorry, just quickly, that's why we were so good against Everton, and it could have gone the other way, was because we were so up for it, and you could see that, they're winning first and second balls. I think that's what you'll get tomorrow. I think United will come out and be the same as they were against your Brentford and your Evertons, and they'll be up for it. I think Ten Hag will have them up for it. 3-0. 3-0.
3-0.
3-0 or 3-1. Yeah.
Wow, very confident.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
confident.
yeah. Martial, I'm going in with Connor. Martial FC. I think we'll yeah, I think they'll have a bit too much for them tomorrow. I don't think it would be as bad as 3-1, maybe 3-0, 3-1, something like that. But Forest, saying that, Forest have beaten Liverpool at home. They have drawn against Chelsea. They had a
Exactly,
good, they had a good result. They had a good result against Forest. Obviously, that was City. That was just the day though. Haaland could have had 25, couldn't he? I think. But
And Forest are pretty good at home as well. Like
We'll-
they've
we'll-
literally,
I would
they've
just go.
literally lost like one game in the league
Yeah.
at home since the turn of the year.
No,
So
but still, I can. United went there in the League Cup, and I think we won the
3-0, yeah.
3-0.
It is a
we,
League Cup, like
we were really good that day, and I can just see it being another repeat of that. To be fair,
even bloody Weghorst was able to score.
I rest my case. I think gone are the days, and hopefully I don't jinx it, that United struggle away from home against lesser sides. I think Ten Hag has that. It's like we said, that development thing. Yeah, all right. The next thing is doing it away to the big clubs. You just gotta, it's that mentality thing, and I think they go there to these away games now against the lesser sides, and they do force an issue. So I think we'll be okay.
Interesting. Well, so we're both backing either of our teams to drop points this weekend. You've gone for the Arsenal to lose, and I've gone for United to draw.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Right, and I think that's where we'll end it. Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. Let's just say we're not going to review it. Norwich.
Oh God.
We
that
usually
was a
do
disaster,
try.
wasn't it?
We do usually try to have our little say on Norwich, obviously, because that's where we're from. But I'm just going to say Middlesbrough 5, Norwich 1. It's not worth It's not worth talking about, because no, it's just not worth upsetting them. Do you know what I mean? It really is.
They're already upset enough.
Yeah, and that's not even me trying to wind them up. That is
No,
just
it's
literally, it is just not worth it. And
it's a shit show, really.
I'm absolutely. Do you know what? For their sake, it's good that they don't go up, because it would have been that would have been an abomination. They probably would have gone down with 2 points or something like that.
They need time to get this sorted, get the structure above sorted, above the manager. And yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done behind the scenes at Norwich.
Yeah, of course. Right, yeah, that's where we'll leave it. Look, if you aren't too sure who we are, again, I will just say we have a podcast on the Monday. It usually is out on a Monday. We try to record on a Sunday. Got a good couple of guests coming on there soon. Peter Blexley, QPR fan of the Hunted. He's coming on there as well, so hopefully we'll have a good show with him, talking about all things QPR, going on by some of the messages we've received of him. That would be absolute gold to watch.
He's fuming, isn't he?
He's absolutely fuming. Yeah, so that's going to be quite interesting to have him on there, and he's an absolute brilliant laugh. I mean, the last time we had him on the podcast, drinking beers with us, absolute lad. He's a lad.
He's fantastic.
He's a great guest. So if you are new, obviously we will have the podcast out. It will be there for your drive on a Monday morning to work. So yeah, that's where we are, and obviously we have this preview show, and we are looking at getting potentially some watch-alongs and some other stuff too long, so you can sit here and join in on a Saturday preview show, or have a look at a little review after a United game or an Arsenal game or a big Champions League game. So we can get some fans involved as well. But yeah, like I say, In Name Football podcast on the Monday, this Monday coming. That'll be out for you guys, where we'll review the weekend's action, look at a bit of United Arsenal. If that's what you're interested in, then you know where to find us.
Yeah, I'd give us a little follow on the Twitters. So the podcast at ITNOF podcast, and then the YouTube is pretty much the same at ITNOF YouTube. So just give us a follow on there as well.
Nice one. And we're also at Facebook. Just type in the name of football, you'll find us on there. We're not that active on there, but we will be soon. And yeah, there's a few things to go on there. Right, anyway. And if you have enjoyed it, you can actually subscribe. You know, we're advertising elsewhere, but you can subscribe to the channel down here.
Yeah, we need a subscription on the YouTube now.
Yeah.
Getting up.
Yeah. Anyway, have a good day. Hope you enjoy your football, whoever you support, and your team gets you the results you need. Apart from if you're an Arsenal fan or a Liverpool fan, and I wish you nothing but bad luck. Until next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.